Welcome, professional wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans. And thank you for joining us. This is episode 82. Can you believe it, guys? We're almost at 100. I am your host, your grumpy old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, singer, and guitarist of Fall Bright. That's all one word, Fall Bright. Talk wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, Booker Andy.
I'm also your host, the No Selling Wrestling Indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
I'm gonna have to start adding in Orioles fan, the best fucking baseball team on planet Earth, the Baltimore O's. That's what I'm talking about, boys. All right, Let's see what we're talking about today on episode 82. All right, today we are going to be talking about the WWE Draft. The firm, Andy, is it the firm deletion match? Is that what you meant to say? Or the final?
Yeah,
okay.
It's deletion. No, it's the firm. It's the firm.
I hope
it's called the firm deletion.
Well, I hope it's firmly the last one that they ever do. And we're also going to be talking about Backlash and more. But first, please go to youtube.com, subscribe, really helps us out. I don't even have to go into it again, but you know the drill. For anybody that you listen to podcast-wise, you want to go to that YouTube channel and you want to subscribe, bosses, all right? We got merch on ProWrestlingTees.com, as always, 5 different shirt designs total, 3 PW Fan logo shirts, year 1 and 2, and then an alternate year 2. And then we also have 2 different Booker Andy shirts with a Jeremy No Selling Indie Fan Wrestling Jeremy shirt coming soon. We're getting that designed up for you guys. For all other social media, you look us up by @the_PW Fan, where we kindly ask you to friend request, do all the things, MySpace, Friendster.
MySpace?
MySpace. I said friend request, so I was like, Jesus, make me sound old as shit.
Friend request says?
Friend request.
Top 8.
Put us in your top 8. MySpace. Horde Train. All right, Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you, man. We got a big show this week. It's going to be a fun one.
All right. Well, since we missed last week, I wanted to talk about, before we get into Raw, the new World Heavyweight Championship that Triple H revealed. There's actually a tournament starting for it tonight. It's actually on right now on Raw, and they showed the bracket beforehand and just give the viewers a little taste. So they're going to start with triple threats. 2 triple threats from guys from Smackdown, 2 triple threats from guys from Raw, and then it will become 1-on-1 from there on out. I personally like the look of the new World Heavyweight Championship. It looks like the classic big gold, but with a big old WWE logo. I like it better though than the other belts that like Roman has. So there's
yeah, I think so
what
too.
About you? Tim's, I feel like, is conflicted.
I'm in the middle
still.
But I'm a big belt guy. I am very. I would say, Jeremy, you and I are probably on the same page where this is very much an improvement, like way improved from the ones that Roman has. However, my question is, why not just use the big gold? But other than that, it's cool. Like I don't have any. I don't think it's ugly. I think it's kind of silly that it has a giant WWE logo plastered on the front of it, but other than that, it's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool belt.
Because when you're going through the airport and you're carrying it, people got to know that it's WWE. Duh.
Do you think it's like their brand guidelines now? Like WWE's like on all championships, we have to have a huge logo,
gigantic logo. Yeah, I mean, I will say none of the old wrestling belts look like that. Like the logo would be on there somewhere, usually at the top or like near the top of the center plate,
or it would say the names spelled out, like World Wrestling.
Right, but now it's just like, god damn, it's like we want you to know what it is. It's like, all right, well, here it is. I mean, honestly though,
the U.S. Championship has a little one.
The AEW belt is kind of similar. I mean, it's just like gigantic in the middle. It just says AEW and like rhinestones and raised gold. So it's not like they're the only people to do that. Ring of Honor
But with that,
has the big
yeah.
ROH across the front.
But with the
Yeah,
AEW one, it's the same color gold, so it kind of
blends in almost.
camouflages
Blends
in,
in.
yeah, with it.
Yeah. I think it's also just for like marketing reasons. Like it's easy to sell that to like everyone.
Yeah. I
Well,
get it.
and
I
that's
get
the
it.
thing.
I don't like it, but
When you're
Yeah.
and that the big thing now with the belts is the figure is not the figure what it basically is, but it's the action figure toy sales. So when the kid is going down, I understand it. For me as like nostalgia and an adult, like when I see the big gold, I'm like, oh shit, this is like beautiful history. Like I love it. However, when you're a little kid going down the Target aisle, you see the belt, you're gonna want to have that big WWE logo on there. It's just like through a kid's mind,
Yeah.
it's like WWE. Oh, I get it. They want to sell. I mean, the top selling belt of all time is the worst belt of all time, which is the John Cena spinner belt.
spin.
Oh, spinner.
They kept it around for so long, even years after Cena wasn't doing that anymore, because it sold so many toys. It would be like getting rid of Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars action figure line, even if you thought the figure was stupid. It's like you needed it in there. But
The
So
fact
to
that
add what
CM Punk had that annoyed
to
me
add
so
what you're
much.
saying though, to add
Punk
what you're
had it.
saying,
Yeah.
to add to what you're saying about the sales in the toy aisle, say when we were kids, we knew about that big gold because it was in, WCW and stuff. The kids nowadays that would be buying that don't know about the big gold.
Well, and that's
They
the
have
thing.
no connection to it.
That's true.
There was still that carryover from WCW. So if you saw the big gold belt, it wasn't far enough gone where you knew what it meant, and you knew that it was the belt that like Hulk Hogan and Sting and Ric Flair had, and Ricky Steamboat and all those guys. So you knew what it was and why it was important. And then also Triple H made it feel very important and royal. He made it feel like it was like this is the real title.
That's with Evolution, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know about you guys, but there was a while where I almost felt like the world heavyweight was like the main title. It almost felt like more of the big title. But then it kind of
That's
switched.
because I think that has to do with Raw, though, because at one point Triple H and Brock were both the champions on different shows.
That
but
felt equal.
Raw was just big.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying though. We got a big show though, so let's get into it. Round or I want to say round two, but so the draft started on Friday, the previous Friday from the Raw that we're talking about. So this is actually the second night that we're going to cover of the draft. So I'm going to try to go through everything quick because it's a lot of rounding off names for certain things. And so Raw opened up with draft night number 2, round 1. Go through really quick. And before we get started, all the names that I'm saying now, everything's in effect now that Backlash is over. So round 1, SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea went to Raw. Austin Theory, United States Champion, to SmackDown. Seth Rollins to Raw. Charlotte Flair to SmackDown. And I think, with that being said, I think on SmackDown beforehand, all of Imperium went to Raw. So I think Intercontinental Championship and United States Championship switched brands.
Yeah, they usually do that, right?
Yeah. We had a Paul Heyman segment where he talks about, kind of the fate of the Usos and, if Roman Reigns wanted the World Heavyweight Championship, he could take it. And he said there's freaking people in the back running their mouths about Roman Reigns and freaking jokers and whatnot. And obviously he's alluding to Seth Rollins. So then Seth Rollins comes out and he says he's going to win the championship and that Roman never beat him. And I guess technically, never beat him cleanly, at least, at the Royal Rumble 2 years ago when he came out in, the Shield gear.
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't a clean win. Or I don't think he ever... I think Did he pass out? Was it like a submission? He like didn't tap and he didn't get pinned, I think.
I think it was something. I mean, he still lost either way, but
Yeah.
doesn't it feel like this title is kind of like not? It's like because no one else can beat Roman, they're making a new title, which doesn't feel like it's an actual like credible title yet.
Yeah. Roman's a part-time Roman's become like Brock back in the day, which is like kind of the reason they made the Universal title.
Right? Yeah.
It
in a
is
way,
weird.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this with Roman. Like Roman's main event career / title reign has been longer than like some people's whole like WWE like big run. Like Brock's original run was only like 2 years before he came back. The Rock, if you think about it, dude, The Rock was only like the guy, like the main guy for like three and
Oh
a
yeah,
half
same with Austin, dude.
years. And like in that time, like Roman's like doubled some of those guys' careers, plus his title reign's been what,
Yeah,
like
Roman's
over a
coming
year
up as
long.
on 1,000 days.
It's wild.
Yeah, he's coming up over on 1,000 days.
Because
And yeah, and I've been watching.
I was gonna say, it seems like he hasn't been around long enough to do the part-time thing. But then if you think about it, he's probably in total been around longer. And I'm not talking about 20 years of them being like alive and like I'm talking about in the ring wrestling. Like he's probably been doing it longer than some of those guys, like at the WWE level. So it's weird. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, real quick, if now that Roman's on SmackDown permanently, it's like who can he go against that he hasn't already dominated? And some of the names are like Sheamus. They can do, I guess, Lashley getting a crack at him again. But I would hit myself if I didn't mention that AJ Styles is back. That was the previous SmackDown that we didn't get to cover. AJ Styles is back, and the entire OC is now on SmackDown. AJ and Roman have not had a feud with the Tribal Chief Roman. I don't know if you all realize that.
That's right. Yeah, it was before he was
He
that.
only had the feud with Roman pre-pandemic, so they could do that.
And those matches were bangers. So
Yeah,
that would be some good stuff.
I mean, I don't think AJ would win, but they could make a good feud out of it and some good matches
they
for
could
sure.
get AJ. I mean, it's kind of like AJ to me is kind of like Shawn Michaels now, like in that the ending of the
Put
Shawn
him anywhere.
Michaels. Well, the ending of Shawn Michaels' career, it's like kind of like you knew he was like those last 5 years. You knew he probably wasn't going to like win the belt, but you knew that he was going to have great matches with everybody. Like that's
Or
kind
he'd be in the title picture, like against Jericho.
like or like Cena, but like in your head you're like he's not gonna win, but like it's cool that he's there.
Yeah.
But
I would always root for Shawn to win, but it would never happen.
But yeah, let's keep pushing forward. So with that Paul Heyman segment and Rollins coming out, we get Solo versus Rollins set for, I believe, the main event of the show. Round 2 of the draft comes up. Sami and Kevin Owens to Raw. And just like with any other draft, people, get drafted and they most of the time, half of them stay on the show they were already on. So Sami and Owens to Raw, even though it doesn't matter because they're champion on both shows. The Usos to SmackDown, Judgment Day to Raw, and the LWO to SmackDown. Brock Lesnar interrupts round 3 of the draft at the start. Adam Pearce calls out security to come out. Cody Rhodes' music hits, and Cody attacks from behind. He actually busts Brock open with his punch.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Adrenaline in my soul. Did you know my dad was Dusty Rhodes? All right, sorry. I just had to do it real quick.
Security holds Cody back, and that segment is pretty much over. So then they finally get to round 3. The women's tag team champions Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez to Raw, Asuka to SmackDown, New Day minus Big E to Raw, and the Brawling Brutes to SmackDown. We also have round 4, Trish Stratus to Raw, which is surprisingly that they actually had her be like an active superstar. They drafted her to Raw, Karrion Kross to SmackDown, Shayna Baszler and Ronda to Raw, and then LA Knight to SmackDown. Do LA Knight versus Roman. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'll take
the title picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had Tim likes him now too.
I'm into him now.
We had Miss TV. We had Miss TV with Shinsuke Nakamura, who returned recently, and
Two guys I'm not into.
round 5 of the draft, you'll be into this one. Ricochet and Braun Strowman to Raw. Shotzi to SmackDown. Tim says who? Bronson Reed to Raw, and then Pretty Deadly from NXT to SmackDown. They're a tag team. If you guys didn't know them, they were in NXT UK. Tag team champions over there for over a year, and then came to NXT and were champions until the New Day beat them for them. I hate them as they're a very hateable character, I'd say. Not that they're bad wrestlers, they're just their gimmick.
They are decent wrestlers.
Yes. The Judgment Day had a segment. They talk about their upcoming matches at Backlash. Boos for Dominic were so loud he couldn't even talk. It took what felt like forever. If you remember, like Roman Reigns after he beat the Undertaker the night on Raw, it felt like that.
God damn,
dude, it is rough. Because the same thing I think happened on SmackDown.
SmackDown was worse because they were in Puerto Rico. Though.
They were in Puerto Rico, yeah.
But it's gonna be best case scenario because now if it catches on, every town he goes to, the crowd's gonna be like, "Fuck this guy! We're gonna boo him as hard as we can," just like last week's show did. So that it's gonna become a thing.
No, that's what's happening so far. Yeah. The LWO comes out for a mixed tag. We have round 6 of the draft. Alpha Academy to Raw, Rick Boogs to SmackDown, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter from NXT to Raw, and Cameron Grimes. Finally, he's been off of NXT because they've been waiting for something storyline-wise for him. But he is now going to be on SmackDown, has his first match this coming Friday against Baron Corbin. And he actually lived right down the road from the Hardy Boys, or right next door, or something like that. And he trained with them for a little bit when he was younger.
Did he really?
Yeah, they're both from the same backyard, literally. So let's get into Dynamite. Dynamite opened up with Adam Cole and Roger Strong.
This show was not good this week. I'm just getting into it. Right
you know why?
You know why? Because they were in Baltimore.
They're in Baltimore.
CM Punk wasn't there. No, but yeah. Also because it was in Baltimore, and every Baltimore show they fuck us over. And guess what? We're not even.
We went to one show and we learned our lesson.
In Baltimore, all you sick freaks out there will never find us.
Well, you know what's funny? I don't know if you remember me mentioning this to you guys. This is literally because we went on the 4th of May last year, and they had this on the 3rd. It's literally, I guess that's how they're kind of scheduled. They just kind of rotate.
Yeah, it's like every year.
For those who
probably be beginning of May.
For those who don't know, and I'm just gonna put it out there, Tony, it's okay to admit it. You hate Baltimore. You give us shit every single time.
Yeah. You don't have to come out before the show and be like, "This is the greatest show ever," because we know it's not.
Well, this is what's funny is that the firm deletion match on Rampage, obviously they had to just watch it on a screen sitting in the stands.
Yeah. That's why you don't do those anymore when there's people in the arena.
Yeah. All right, so let's get through this show of Dynamite. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong teamed up with Orange Cassidy and Bandito against the JAS. This was Roderick Strong's first match on AEW, or in AEW, I should say. Winners were Adam Cole's team. Cole, right as soon as the pin happens, Cole runs to the announce table and takes out Jericho before they get separated. We had Bryan Danielson in the back with the Blackpool Combat Club, change your name, claiming that he's better than Bret Hart ever was, any wrestler before him, and he's the best in the world today.
Yeah, this was not his best work, to be honest with you. I just didn't believe it. I wasn't feeling it. I gotta feel it.
and everyone's an amateur is his new thing.
Because
Yeah.
you know damn well he loves Bret Hart. He's like, yo, Bret Hart's
Yeah.
Yeah. Without saying Bret Hart's name, I mean everyone knew who he was talking about, but
Yeah.
Hikaru Shida returned to AEW during a match with the Outcasts, and it looked like that she was going to turn and join the Outcasts, but she tricked them and ended up taking them out. Actually,
Andy, I like how your notes says join the Outcast question mark, and it says she tricks them.
because as it was happening, I was like, Hikaru Shida had turned heel, and then she switched. I was like, question mark. I was like, yeah.
Question mark.
I was like, question no. We have maybe you guys can understand this. The open house, which is basically an open challenge for the House of Blacks trios titles. It's like they say it's like has its own rules, but its rules just sound the same as any other match. They just like set it in a way of basically like, don't be a bitch. I didn't really understand it, but we had a trios battle royal. After that, was this for a shot at the trios titles? Okay,
I think so. Right. I mean, I was just glad to see the House of Black back on TV because they won the titles and then weren't on TV for like 2-3 weeks.
They haven't done too much. Not surprising.
I think
this trios battle royal.
I think
Go on. Sorry.
No, it's just like this is the stuff with AEW that I'm talking about. It's like House of Black comes back, they win the trios title, they disappear. It's just like some of the stuff just sometimes, and I know we joke around on the show and we always are busting Tony balls and stuff like that, but some of it really does genuinely feel like a mess. Do you guys ever get that vibe? Like it just feels disorganized. Like you're like, what?
Well, if
It'll just be
if you
like
watch a new episode
shit
of All
happening.
Access. Did you see the new episode of All Access, Jeremy?
No, why
Yeah.
do they talk about
And
that?
Tony Khan has his like schedule. It's just like he's like, all right. He's like, you're here. He's like, and then we're gonna have you 2 months later talking to Xavier Guevara. He's like, you're gonna be doing stuff here. And it's just like, what? It's like, what the hell's going on with them? Like within these 2 months, I don't know. It's just random.
Yeah. It looks like someone who is learning how to book a show right now. That's like exactly how it feels.
Yeah, it's
because he's never done it before.
Of his, I was like trying to read it. I was like, he's like, so we got you doing something here, and then in a month you'll do something here. It's just like, what?
And I was like, why are you showing this on TV right now?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
I still like the show though.
I still think it's pretty cool.
Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he's showing too much that he doesn't even realize how much he is showing. You know, it's like there's no way that would be in like a WWE show. You know, like the mess of us.
No.
First of
Or
all,
they would have it scripted out as like.
Well, they don't even let people in.
Like, this is what you're doing.
They've never even let people in the booking meetings. Every documentary, like ever, they kick him out of the room like right before it starts.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they showed that one part where they're like in the beginning and they're like, "You guys gotta go."
Yeah, and then they'll be like, they'll be in there for a second. And they'll always be like, "You gotta go." Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing they've remotely showed when it comes to like a show is like the lineup of segments for that night. Like other than that, you don't see anything.
Yeah, unless it's like a leaked photo.
It's like he's like, "Well, let me show you," like right to the camera to Sammy.
Apparently, Tony Khan's dysfunctional brain he just puts on blast for everybody to see.
God.
Yeah.
So let's continue on. So after the House of Black thing, we had a trios battle royal. It was the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn, QTV, Dark Order, Lucha Brothers and Vikingo, Butcher Blade and Kip Saban, and then Varsity Athletes. Winners were the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Do they get a title shot? I wasn't even paying attention really, but
we'll see. I guess
I would assume. Mark Briscoe gets some help on the chicken farm from Jay Lethal, Sunday Nut, Jeff Jarrett, and the big guy.
This stuff was like usually I don't mind this stuff because I'm like okay with the comedy part.
It showed up in like
this
overalls.
Is like,
I was like,
this is like too goofy for me.
Yeah,
they
only did it because they were close to like Delaware and like.
I'll tell you what,
Sandy Fork.
We love Mark Briscoe, and that's all we'll say. We'll just move on from that.
MJF tries to coerce Jungle Boy before their match.
Coerce.
MJF and Sammy Guevara in the main event versus Darby Allin and Jungle Boy. If Darby and Jungle Boy win, the Double or Nothing main event becomes a fatal four-way. Winners were Jungle Boy and Darby Allin. This is exactly what Tim was like. It's too soon. So that is the main event at Double or Nothing. It's a fatal four-way of the Pillars.
It should be, out of the four of them, it should just be, I'm just trying to think. It should just be Darby and MJF.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just do, like, have MJF's reign going through all the Pillars?
But the
one by one.
Well, the other two, first of all, you're burning out like 4 matches right now, and then, or 3 additional matches, and then also it's like
3 additional feuds.
2 of the guys just aren't ready. I'm sorry, it's not believable that Jungle Boy and Sammy would be in the title match. To me, Darby, I buy it.
Yeah, Jungle Boy to me, it's like he needs so much work on the promo part. He's gotten better, but it's still kind of like when he starts talking, I'm like zoning out.
Yeah, Sammy's fine. Darby's fine on the mic, even, which is surprising.
Yeah, Darby's gotten actually the best out of all of them, like improving
recently. Yeah,
and getting better. Yeah.
So let's get into SmackDown. That wraps up Dynamite. SmackDown. You know, and I forgot to say my typical thing when there's a pay-per-view. These are all go-home shows for WWE. But SmackDown took place, and I think the same arena as the pay-per-view did. It's in, it was in Puerto Rico. And Jeremy, I was wrong. They are doing both triple threat matches for the tournament on Raw this week.
Oh,
because he's out. Yeah, Cody, Finn, and Miz. But we'll get into that next week. I do like the bracket though. What they're doing.
Yeah.
So SmackDown, they're in Puerto Rico. LWO opens up the show, and Judgment Day comes out, which, like we mentioned before, Dominic gets basically booed out the building, and it's really hard for him to talk. There's a segment with Bianca Belair, and Damage Control comes out. We have a Cody Rhodes segment where he describes Brock as using the term gatekeeper. But he's really just out there to hype up his match with Brock.
Hang on, wait. GAPE? Gatekeeper?
Gatekeeper.
Oh, gatekeeper. Okay, I thought you said gatekeeper. I was like, I feel like that's a different genre than we're not talking. We're not talking about wrestling anymore.
He's a gaping keeper, man.
He keeps it gaping. All right. Anyway,
let's not go down that road. We had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross has been going after Shinsuke recently, but that doesn't matter anymore because Shinsuke is now on Raw. But winner was Shinsuke. That was his final match on SmackDown that he came back for 2 whole weeks.
And also, no one cares about Karrion Kross anymore.
No. He needs, I think Dutch Mantel or someone was saying that he needs like a redo, or he's like, there's something about him that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, there's nothing exciting about. Shave his head, yeah. Get rid of that hair heat.
His hair heat. Beautiful
like I said,
hair. Shaving it bald for a year.
It Cameron Grimes backstage segment with Adam Pearce and Baron Corbin comes up. So we have Grimes' first match with Corbin set for next week.
I totally forgot Corbin was there.
Yeah, we all should. We should just forget about him. They should forget about him. The main event in Puerto Rico was Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega versus Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio in a mixed tag match. Winners were Rey and Zelina. Dom and Finn attack afterwards, but Bad Bunny in a WWF jacket comes running out along with the LWO.
I will say that Baron Corbin is kind of like the QT Marshall of it's just like, why is he there? Like,
that's
why
terrible.
are you? It's like,
It's
why
a good
are
comparison.
you? But why are you on TV so much? There's literally no point of you being here. No offense, respectfully, no offense.
Yes.
But,
No offense. You shouldn't have a job.
But that wraps up SmackDown. Before we
with
get
peace,
to
with peace and love, I should say, instead of no offense. With peace and love, you guys are
Positive
both.
push.
There's
Positive
no reason for either one of you to be on TV with peace and love.
I mean it in the nicest way possible. You should be gone from wrestling.
So I want you to be out of a job.
Yeah.
But also still support your
Uh,
family, just not on TV.
Go to Impact.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get to the main part of the show, which is Backlash, I want to touch on one thing on Rampage, which is the firm deletion match. Though there was an opening match of Vikingo teaming up with Lucha Brothers that I'm sure there was some crazy stuff done during the match, but I don't remember. Rampage, I kind of like zone out.
Yeah, you
And
know,
I
they
knew
did
that
some
this was gonna be
flips.
the main-
There was a couple flips here and there. Hurricane out of this, hurricane out of that. Yeah.
They're just risking
Tim,
their lives, and we're like, yeah,
You
whatever.
know, he did a
Yeah.
450 here and there, and then there was some sort of head scissor move, and then
Tim summed it up. So the firm deletion match. All right, Tim. I don't know if you got a chance to see this terrible match, but
I saw the YouTube recap of it,
okay. Well, let's.
which was put together
Alright,
by
so
a
they-
non-official AEW account, a fan account. So
Not official.
Okay, God, I love the Hardy Boys, but okay. So the firm show up to the compound. It's daytime. Vanguard 1 flies in front of them. Matt Hardy's a little holographic.
I knew at this point when
Face.
Vanguard 1 came up, I was like, well, this is bad already. I knew this was not.
I knew you'd come. He talks about space and time, and then all of a sudden, there's a big flash, and they've been teleported to nighttime. So that's how it starts.
You know the weirdest thing is that Hook was in this match, and I was like, I forgot he was in this match.
Way to taint Hook.
I think Hook
Yeah,
wants to forget that he was in this match.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't fit in at all in this.
All right. Now, the things I'm going to talk about, I don't remember the order. It was just like thing after thing that happened over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? So let's try to remember some.
Just
Stuff.
give
They're
us
brawling,
the gimmicks.
they're brawling
Give us the
outside.
rundown of the gimmicks. Just go through it.
The brawling outside, the brawling up against a tree. Two people are taking on Big Bill. Stokely Hathaway gets away eventually, and Maxwell wants to run him down at some point with this little toy tractor or like Jeep,
Yeah.
and Stokely sells it. He ends up in Matt Hardy's movie theater and gets attacked by a bunch of kids, right? Isn't that what? Yeah.
Yeah. Or his wife comes down and starts
Or his
yelling
wife
in
comes down
Spanish
and then the dad comes up and
and tases him.
oh yeah, the taser. Tim's like, what else happens? Isaiah Cassidy returns from an injury and does a swanton while everyone
Hold
stands
on,
there.
he does the
which we're gonna-
swanton. But what does he do before that?
He goes, dude, it was.
Wait, what? And why did he moan?
He went, and Matt Hardy goes, orgasmic Isaiah Cassidy. I knew you'd come.
I don't have words.
I can't make it up, dude. I can't make it up.
He did it for like a good 2 minutes. Like he was making that noise. It was like slow motion.
It's like that video online where the guy does it in people's ears in like grocery
Yeah.
stores.
Scream in my ear.
So he does the noise and then swantons.
It's like
shit.
everyone's staring at him for a good like a minute straight.
Eventually, he gets taken to.
Oh, but hold
Matt
on.
Hardy's-
Sorry, I forgot. He swantons, and then after he lands, he starts humping the ground.
See, a lot of the stuff I think I blacked out.
Andy blacked it out of his memory.
I'm like, this is Jeff Hardy's second match back?
His first match.
No, he did a tag match
When?
When?
last
He
week.
returned, and then he did a promo, and then that was it.
Really, I thought he tagged. Maybe he just did it. He did a swanton on someone. Maybe he just did it like
He swanton
attacking
when he
people.
came back, like returned.
Okay, that's even worse then. This is his first match back. God. Eventually they get to like the Hardy Boys ring that's in like the big like warehouse there, and it's kind of where the match ends. Everyone basically does their finisher to Ethan Page, right? I think.
Yeah.
And so now Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy aren't a part of the firm officially. That was it. It's exhausting to think about.
And that was it. Andy's tired now.
Winners Team Hardy.
And he's like, and that's our show now. I'm done.
All right, let's get into Backlash, which is a better thing to talk about. All right, Backlash in Puerto Rico, hot crowd, very very hot
Crazy.
crowd. Made the show very much enjoyable. Just like when WWE goes to places that they are rarely at, like when they did at Clash of the Castle, and I'm
Yeah.
sure what's going to happen at All In is everyone's gonna be
With more than
just-
60,000 people who bought tickets, Tim.
They're apparently at 60,000 right now, which is the number I said they would get to. At least, I guess.
Tim told us it's beginner's luck.
Beginner's luck.
God, if we get Punk versus Jericho, though.
I swear to God, better not get Punk versus Jericho. I sent that as a joke in our group chat.
I think
What about
there's,
Punk
50% chance
versus
that could...
the Bucks?
QT
in a
Marshall?
bare knuckle fight.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
I'll take that over Jericho.
In a backstage brawl, bare knuckle fight.
Yeah.
Sponsored by the muffin place that he was eating.
Then Larry's at ringside.
Yeah. Missing tooth. All right, so Backlash. The opening match was one of the best matches on the card.
I think
Bianca Belair versus Io Sky Raw Women's Championship. What was weird about this match is, man, Bianca was booed the whole time and Io was cheered the whole time. I don't know what happened. I mean, I love Io Sky. I think she's great, but she's part of Damage Control, and people were just not. And at one point in the beginning, Bianca Belair realized, and she was like, "Okay, okay."
Racist.
And she didn't really put too much into it, and like, but really good match. If I don't think Io's had a really good chance to shine since joining
Yeah.
Damage Control, and so I have a feeling moving forward after seeing that match, fans in America and at these Raw shows and SmackDown shows or whatever probably are gonna cheer her a little more. They've seen what she can
after that
do.
match.
But it was a really good match. I didn't expect her to win. Bianca Belair retained. She is now the longest reigning women's champion of the modern era.
Yeah, that's really good.
She's had it over a year now. Because she won
Oh,
it
crazy. Yeah,
at
against Becky Lynch.
previous WrestleMania. Then she retained this WrestleMania and then all the way to Backlash. All right. So winner was Bianca Belair. Crowd was hot. Crowd stayed hot basically the whole time. So next match, Seth Rollins versus Omos. Omos has improved a lot. We've talked crap about him before. But this match, you're in there with a guy like Seth Rollins too. Seth Rollins made him look
Yeah.
great. They played to the strengths of Omos. He did the whole dominating big guy thing, but Seth with the whole thing with Seth, kind of has the experience, and
Mhm.
he ended up coming out on top. But I actually enjoyed the match for once. I enjoyed an Omos match.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
I
oh,
think
this
you
isn't
put him
bad.
in the ring with someone that knows what they're doing at this stage. He should have had this kind of match with AJ
Yeah.
at the WrestleMania, but I don't think he was there yet.
Yeah.
And AJ can only
He-
do so much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, this match was definitely like one of his best, I think. For
But-
Omos.
Some people said online that maybe Omos should have won because he already lost to Lesnar at Mania, but
Seth
you
needs it,
also
though.
got this stuff with Seth, who I'm saying is going the distance and will be the new World Heavyweight Champion.
think so.
I think that's where they're headed.
Yeah.
How about you, Tim? Do you think Seth is gonna? Who would you say is gonna get that World Heavyweight Championship? Just think about some of the main guys. I'll say this: Cody and Brock's feud isn't over. So don't. Cody's in the tournament, but don't make him be.
He shouldn't win it anyways.
No. AJ's in the tournament. Edge is in the tournament. Finn, Seth, Lashley.
Out of the tournament, yeah, I think you're right. Seth is the one.
Makes sense. I mean, Seth's on fire right now.
Yeah. I think it'd be him and Edge at the final.
Watch Balor win and then get hurt in the match and then have to give it up the next day.
Don't say
That would be literally the worst.
Isn't it crazy? There's some guys that's like their time came and went, and it feels like it's too late now. Like, you know, how you just said, well, Cody shouldn't win the title anyway. Well, it's like then there's that. I think it happened with Drew. Like, his time came and went, and like once it comes and goes, it's gone. Balor had his big time. He won the title, got hurt. Things are just never the same again. I'm not saying they all get hurt. I'm just saying sometimes it's like their time come. It's like they're crazy popular, and it's huge, and then it's gone. It's wild.
Yep. See, told you, Jeremy, if you're watching. Told you. Told you. It ain't over.
Oh, man. Look at his cut.
Yeah. Brock's cut looks bad, but we'll get into that. Yeah, so that just proves
He looks like
that
a
just proves Cody and
super
Brock isn't done. And Brock has a new shirt. It says country ass kicking, and it's his skull with a cowboy hat.
He looks like a superhero figure with.
Add to shirts I'll never wear or buy.
Dude, that new Cody shirt is rough.
Yeah, the new Cody shirt.
What's Cody's shirt?
It's him like a pilgrim. Like he has like he's
with his dog and
he's stepping. It's a cartoon. He's stepping up on a rock like George Washington, but instead of the American flag.
Oh my god!
Yeah, instead of the American flag, he's holding his symbol, but it's also mixed with the Puerto Rican flag. Dude,
so for the Backlash show.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Basically. Okay, let's keep moving forward though. I think Rollins is destined. Too. I think Rollins is destined to win the championship. Okay. Third match of the night was Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed versus Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. Triple threats are weird. I say it every time. But you know, Bronson was kind of over during this match a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it was good for the guys in it as well. It wasn't like the best match of the night or anything. But Austin Theory ended up retaining by kind of sneaking his way, you know, for the pin. So he is still your United States champion, and he is now on SmackDown. Then we had Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega for the, I guess, SmackDown Women's Championship. All right, Zelina. Let's talk about Zelina.
Nice moment for her.
Yeah, nice moment for her. She came out in Puerto Rican colors and Puerto Rican flag colors, I should say. And her arms were in this big Puerto Rican flag apparatus.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
She got really emotional. It's her first time wrestling in Puerto Rico. Her family was there. She dedicated the match to her dad, who was in the towers and perished during 9/11. It was a whole emotional thing. Crowd was behind her. I mean, I don't know if you know, the smart fan really thought that she was going to be winning, but
yeah,
she put up a fight, and I mean, it was no Charlotte versus Rhea at WrestleMania this past year, but
it's still good because it was like, and Selena's like home country and all that, or hometown.
I mean, it's more about the story that was being told and the crowd being into it. So
yeah,
but Rhea Ripley retained. All right, they considered this the co-main event, even though it wasn't before the main event.
This should have been the main event, I think.
But on the kickoff show, they did call this. It was a co-main event. So Bad Bunny
Because
versus Damian Priest.
imagine this
Street
ended
fight.
the show.
I mean, it normally on a normal pay-per-view it shouldn't, but being in Puerto Rico, it definitely could have.
Yeah.
So Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest, San Juan street fight. Bad Bunny's entrance. Jeremy, you want to talk about that because you really liked it?
I thought it was one of the best entrances of this year. I think it might be the best entrance this year. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I might have to see some of the bigger shows, but
I actually
to me,
did
that
think
was
it
an amazing
good.
entrance.
I thought it was good. It was cool.
I mean, the whole crowd was singing his own song, and, like, I mean, it turned into a concert for a good minute.
I mean, I know he's like the most streamed like recording artist in the world.
That's why I'm
but
like,
in Puerto Rico, man, they're chanting his real name, Bandito,
yeah.
Benito, and I said Bandito like he's from AEW.
That's why I'm like, I don't think people understand how big of a star Bad Bunny is,
Yeah.
like outside of.
I
Like,
know
wrestling.
he is. He's just like not in my playlist, but
Yeah. But like, he can sell out arenas just
Coachella
himself.
or whatever this year, didn't he?
Yeah, like he headlined Coachella night 1 and 2. Like no one ever does that.
But
What I like about him.
people forget though.
Sorry,
that,
go
like,
Tim.
No, like I'm just saying, like I feel like people get so wrapped up into like, oh, he's what is what in the United States, and it's like, dude, like there's like a whole world out there that loves all kinds of
Right.
stuff that the U.S. doesn't appreciate. Like that's what's awesome about Europe. I mean, you know, the people who listen to the show know I'm a music guy. Like it's so weird. Like in Europe and in South America and all these places, like the music charts will have like a pop song, so it'll be like the main number one song that'll probably be on the radio in America, and then all of a sudden, like 3 songs down, it'll be like a heavy metal song with screaming, and it's because they like appreciate like stuff differently than we do, and I think that
Yeah.
like Bad Bunny is like one of those things that like he's huge in the U.S., but I think he's even bigger in the rest of the world, especially South America. Yeah, and there's more people there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and also I'll just say WWE with that drone shot too. Like they were using that throughout the show. I thought that was really cool.
I was wondering how they did the opening because they did the same thing on Smackdown when they went through
But
from the outside.
imagine like the pressure for that guy who's flying the drone.
Yeah, I was thinking
it's like
that.
it's live.
Yeah.
It's live, and you gotta like fly it through the arena.
Yeah, like through that little doorway to where like you go to your seats.
Yeah, you don't want to like clip the edge of the wall or whatever.
Just, like sweating, like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, both guys received, you know, the appropriate like responses from the crowd, and WWE played Bunny's music a little longer than usual because the crowd was so into it. So it started off in the ring for a little bit.
Vince was like, let it ride a little longer.
Vince is probably like, what are they saying right now?
He's like, but I love it.
When Priest was in control, you know, the crowd was booing him. Whenever Bad Bunny was in control or made a comeback, everyone was cheering basically the whole time, as you would expect. And it went back and forth a couple of times, and it took them a little bit before they took advantage of, you know, the actual street fight and the weapons. This match was about
really
like
good
30
match.
minutes long. It was like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
It was the longest match.
They had a good like 6-minute period where they had all those guys show up.
Yeah. What I will say before we continue, what I like about Bad Bunny and different from other celebrities that come in is that one, he doesn't need this at all.
Yeah, definitely doesn't.
2, he doesn't need it, and he's doing it for fun because he actually grew up a fan, and he's always liked wrestling.
And he's taking bumps too. Like he'll take serious bumps.
Yeah. So I mean, I just, you know, I like that and I respect it when he takes it seriously because he actually respects the business. You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
The biz.
Eventually, though, so they start using the weapons and the environment, and they take it into the crowd. And Damian Priest does his finisher to Bad Bunny through a table in the crowd off of, I don't know what he was standing on, but that spot kind of, you know, basically killed Bad Bunny for a while. He was,
Yeah.
you know, He was basically done by that point, but eventually they started working Damien's leg a lot, and that was kind of the story that was being told with him for a while. I think it started when he went for a kick on the outside to Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny ducked, and he kicked the posts of the ring with like his shin or whatever. So Dominic and Finn came out to interfere, and then Ray would end up running down to make a save. But he was taken down, and then Carlito's music hit, and the crowd popped big for him.
I went crazy watching it too, because I was like, I miss Carlito.
People who don't want.
I mean, just like at the Rumble he showed up in a few years ago, looks great still.
Carlito's jacked now too.
Yeah, he's huge. So then Ray and him cleared the ring of the Judgment Day, who then ran and started heading towards the back, but they were cut off by Savio Vega, who the crowd again popped for him. Now,
legend.
I was too young. I know he's a legend. I don't remember watching too much of him. Didn't he have like an Intercontinental Championship run?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
Yeah, Tim, you as the old school wrestling fan would know more. If you want to mention anything he's done or who he feuded with.
No, Savio Vega.
Did he feud with Austin?
He had a feud. Yeah, that's a good memory. Yeah, he had a feud with Austin. He was really big during the New Gen era. And I think he was in not the Nation of Domination. He was in a faction. Here, I'll pull the Jamie, Andy, while you continue. I'll find out he was back then. The whole gang war thing was very big, kind of like how it was in AEW for a while. There was like all these factions. So Savio Vega was a part of something like that. Let me find it.
Well, he got a dismissal from the Nation of Domination, and he ended up forming his own faction, Los Boricuas.
Los Boricuas. Yeah, Los Boricuas.
I was about to say, was he part of Taker's like Bone Skull crew?
In real life, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, that was a behind the scenes, fact, like the group, like the Clique.
What was it? Is that what it was? Bone Skull? I don't think it was Bone Skull. Bones Crew.
No, it was the BSK, Bone Skull Crew.
Oh, BSK, yeah, that's right.
Because he has the tattoo. But I'm looking up the stable, and it was Savio Vega. I mean, I feel bad. I don't know any of these guys. Miguel Perez, Jose Estrada Jr., and Jesus Castillo. But
Andy's actually our Spanish affiliate. He did excellent pronunciation on those. You don't want to hear
Spanish, right?
You don't want to hear me say those names. This would be awful.
Dude, I say the Japanese names. I say the Spanish names here.
No, Andy's everything for us.
I take the risk. So Savio Vega, comes out, blocks him off.
His name was Angelios.
And the LW comes out, but so Balor and Dominic take a beating, and then they're ran off. Which then Bad Bunny puts on the figure 4 leg lock onto Priest, who has that injured knee that they've been working. He didn't win with a submission, so he ends up grabbing his steel chair and started just whacking on Priest with it. Pretty hard, is what it looked like. But in the end, he, surprisingly enough, did a Canadian Destroyer, which ended up getting the win, and big pop for him in Puerto Rico. Fans loved it. They ate it up. Any other thoughts on the match before we get to Sami Zayn? And
I mean, I thought that was a pretty good match too, but I think the other ones kind of outperformed it, especially Bad Bunny before
that. All right. So the next match was
weirdly the Bad Bunny match was like the most exciting match on the card.
Yeah, that's why I said it should have been the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. One, because I don't care for Damian Priest, and two, because Bad Bunny
Yeah.
isn't a technically a wrestler. So after that, we had the Usos and Solo Sikoa versus Riddle and Sami Zayn and Owens. Past couple of weeks, they've been kind of hinting at, Solo might have to take out the Usos if they don't start winning, or, you know what I'm saying, Jeremy? Like Heyman keeps like hinting at it, and Solo keeps like being conflicted with it.
They had a moment during this match too.
Yeah. So, during the match, Jay and Solo, they begin to have some communication issues and talk a little shit to each other before Sammy knocks Solo off the apron with a haluva kick. He nails Jay with another kick, but Solo saves his brother. And then after that, he almost purposefully, Solo almost hits Jay with a Samoan spike, and they kind of just stare at each other, and it starts an argument. But despite all the tension, Solo ended up getting the pin for the team, which, I thought Riddle, Sammy, and Kevin were gonna win, but it makes sense for this storyline with the bloodline, and because the whole thing is, Roman hasn't talked to the Usos since their loss at Mania. I think that's what they've been saying lately, because he's just mad at them for losing the titles.
Yeah.
A little overbooked, but that's what you get with a 6-man tag match. But still a good match. Sammy and Kevin are still over.
It still feels weird to me to have Riddle in this, but I know he's a part of it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll just be done with this whole thing. But let's get to the main event, which was Rhodes versus Lesnar.
Can I just say, in Cody's entrance,
a bloody match.
Yeah,
bloody match for once. It started off.
Cody's
What was that?
I was gonna say, for Cody's entrance, that "whoa" part in a song is getting so over.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I love. You know what? Especially the part I love the most is where he goes, "Adrenaline in my soul," and then I love the part where he goes, "Did you know my dad was Dusty Rhodes?" Dude, that part is.
Sorry, I shouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So Cody comes out, Brock comes out, and when Brock is still on the floor, Cody does a suicide dive. Before Brock even gets in the ring, and continues to attack Brock with the ring steps and a steel chair. The bell hasn't even rang at this point. But once they got in the ring, Cody, stayed on him. I think they're called disaster kicks. He did 2 of them in a row, but on the third one, that's the one he like jumps off the ropes and then does like a kick, right?
Yeah, disaster kick. Yeah.
So he did 2 of them, but by the third, of course, Lesnar caught him and hit him with a German suplex. Now this was one of at least 10 suplexes in some type of form. So Brock he takes him to Suplex City with Germans, regular suplexes, belly to bellies, and this lasts for a little bit of match. And during one of the final suplexes for him, Cody grabs the pad on the turnbuckle and exposes the turnbuckle mid suplex. I'm trying to think of the order of things that happened, but
Brock is thrown into it.
So Brock goes to attack Cody. Cody basically, what?
Just in case, Andy, I think the people will forgive you that you don't remember every single spot in the match that happens. You're doing,
but
you're batting 9 out of 10. You're doing pretty good.
I took a lot of the spots because I was writing this while I was watching. So
Andy's first,
Cody
does he lock up. Second, he throws him into the turnbuckle.
Well, I want to give some more detail on the main event.
You're the best,
and I actually enjoy this match.
That's why you're the host, the host. Jeremy and I just chime in when we need to.
Thank you, boys. So I'm sure we'll talk about this before we get to the actual finish, but Cody ducks out of the way and Brock hits his head on the turnbuckle. Brock's now busted open and
slams his head into it.
I mean, he had to have done it the hard way, right?
Yeah, he did. Because
Bleeding.
that cut is not also like when you blade. It's like usually just a small one. This one was like straight down his forehead.
I mean, it didn't look like Brock blocked it. I even rewound because I was like, did he use fake blood? I was like, how did it just like bust open like that?
Yeah.
And before we started recording, Jeremy, I said to you, I was like, what if it didn't work? What if he smashed his head and it just didn't
Right.
bleed? Because apparently
Yeah.
the spot was planned for the bleeding, but
I'm just curious. Is rewind still is? I know fast forward is, but is rewind still a term, or do people just say, like, I went in reverse?
go
Like,
back. I just went back.
Yeah, I went back. Like, is like.
I
do
mean,
people-
you can say
do-
rewind, but if
but
Rewound.
do people understand what rewind is for all the young people that might not know
VCRs.
know what a VHS tape is?
Well, dude, I mean, is it just me or I feel like people say fast forward more than rewind, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
they
not
definitely
gonna.
do.
You know what I also say all the time? I'm like, oh yeah, dude. Like someone's like, did you watch this? I'm like, nah, not yet, but I taped it. I always say I tape stuff.
I
Like it's fucking.
think it's just because you're older than us.
so, I say
Yeah,
record, but I definitely
Yeah,
I
say
taped
fast
it.
forward. I mean, I think everyone says fast forward, but no
I
one
say,
really
bro.
says rewind.
I
as
say,
much.
bro, I got that song on disc.
Oh, look, Zoe Stark. So speaking of Zoe Stark, got drafted from NXT.
We have no
Yeah.
idea who that is.
Yeah, because you guys don't watch NXT. I watch everything.
Maybe
I
they
know
make
you
a,
do.
maybe when they make a good show, we'll start watching it.
She's a great wrestler. She's a great.
AEW's
wrestler, actually.
lucky. AEW's lucky at this point. We have to. It helps add something to the show, so we're not
Yeah.
only reviewing WWE. But they've had me a few times where I'm like, I can skip a few weeks. I'm not gonna lie.
This draft had more NXT wrestlers drafted than any other draft previous, I'd say.
Probably because of Triple H then.
Yeah. And the people they picked are really good, especially JD McDonough. I can't wait. Oh, and rumor on him, Jordan Devlin. He used to be Jordan Devlin. Balor trained
okay.
him. Balor trained him, but there's rumor that they might be adding him to Judgment Day, which would be so easy to tell that story of him joining because Finn trained him in
Yeah.
Ireland. And he'd be awesome.
He's gonna
Don't
say
bet
"Yes,
against the
I trained
Irish
this
Ace.
lad." He said, "I trained this lad," and then he's gonna say, "Yes, he did train me." And then there's gonna be two of them.
Well, a while ago when NXT UK was a thing, they had a pay-per-view, and Jordan Devlin was supposed to have an opponent. It was a mystery opponent, and then Balor ended up surprising the crowd and showed up over at NXT
that's right.
UK and
That was a
faced him.
banger.
It's a good.
Yeah, I
match.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was when NXT was good.
yeah. So, yeah. So
There was a time.
So now he goes under the name JD McDonough ever since he came to NXT in America, and
I don't
he
like
was
that name
drafted
at
to
all.
Raw and as well as Judgment Day. So, yeah, Jordan Devlin McDonough.
Soon he's
No.
just gonna go
That's
by
because his real name
JD.
is Jordan Devlin. That's because his real name is Jordan Devlin. They had the whole thing when he came to NXT that you can't have any of like your real name, and his real name is Jordan Devlin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
So they had to change it.
that's so
It's just
stupid.
stupid. Could have picked an easier name to say, but
You might
where
know
were
me
we?
as Prince
Cody?
David,
yeah.
but soon you will know me as Finn Balor.
So Brock got busted open, and it poured down his face.
It did. They didn't stop it either.
Or after a JBL chair shot. But Cody hits 2 crossroads, and he goes for a third, but Brock hits an F5. Brock then also hits a Kimura lock, which Cody rolls up into a pin, and Cody gets the win. I wasn't sure where this was going as I was watching the match.
I don't like that
I
ending.
think Cody should have won.
Yeah.
And, you can beat Brock and it not hurt Brock.
Yeah.
Especially, like this, where it's not like I took you down. It's like a quick roll up of like what the heck happened
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And especially when he does something like tonight when he just attacked Cody again. So
Yeah. Spoiler on next week, folks.
yeah.
We'll get into it. But the winner is Cody Rhodes to close out the show. Backlash. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I thought it was good. Having a really hot crowd like that helps also. None of the matches were bad.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least. So
I thought
it
it was a great pay-per-view,
just
actually.
adds to it. 7 matches.
It was only like, what, 2.5 hours, 3 hours?
It got over at 11, 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
8 to 11, yeah.
It's pretty good.
But Tim, if you want to take us out with a classic show of the week, that wraps up this episode.
Well, we did talk before the show about keeping it, kind of in the theme of the week. So we, you did a Backlash review. So the classic show of the week is going to be a Backlash. This is Backlash 2002. Now, a very interesting time in wrestling. It's a lot of crossover from the Attitude Era into what became the Ruthless Aggression Era. So let's check out some of these matches. It's so weird. Jeff Hardy versus Brock Lesnar. You have Scott Hall versus Bradshaw. You have Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Triple H. Billy and Chuck versus Al Snow and Maven, and The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Eddie Guerrero versus Rob Van Dam, and Edge versus Kurt Angle. And then Trish and Jazz, and then Billy Kidman and Tajiri. So it's a pretty stacked.
Sounds
card.
like a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's a really stacked card, and it's a really interesting time because it's like a little bit of like the end of the Attitude Era and the beginnings of what would become the real Ruthless Aggression Era. Like if you notice.
Now before we go, I forgot to mention.
My God, are you all right?
I did say hi to James Ellsworth last night.
Oh, that's right.
The concert I went to. I was waiting outside after the show ended, and I see this guy with no chin walking by, and
you're like James Ellsworth,
slick back hair. I follow him on Instagram, and he was with his wife, so I recognize both.
And he's like, I follow him on Instagram, and then I followed him to the parking lot.
He was walking by, and I was just like, I was with the guys that I went with. I didn't really bother him. I just said, "Hey, Ellsworth," and I don't know why I lied to him. I said, "Hey, Ellsworth, big fan."
I don't know why I lied to him.
And he just looks at me and goes, he's like, "Oh," and I was just like, "All right, fucking dick, I get it."
You're like, not anymore.
Unfollow.
Yeah.
I get it. It's 10:30.
Hey, Ellsworth,
but
you suck.
I should have been like, "Hey, man," if he was like, I was like, maybe he's in a bad mood. Like, keep your chin up.
Keep your chin up.
But
stay away from.
I did see him.
Stay 500
super
yards away
random
from schools.
Yeah, super random. But even if it's like a wrestler that you hate, wouldn't it be cool to see them out in public? Just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So
I'll still say something too.
Funny?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Jeremy, edit out the part about schools. Put a little time stamp in there. I don't need James Ellsworth suing us. But I will say this.
Because we know he's watching.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and we're back. You know what's funny, Andy, is you met the lamest wrestler possible. Like, there's not many people that could be more lamer than that dude. And he was still a dick. That's what's hilarious. It's like a guy who's an absolute nobody couldn't even give you a simple fist bump, but then me and you meet the road dog at an airport, and he's like the nicest guy ever. James Ellsworth sucks.
Well, it's like I didn't go up to him and ask for a picture. He was like literally on the street. I was on the sidewalk, and I said, "Hey, Ellsworth, big fan." Not even a thanks. Thanks, man.
He said,
right.
He said, "Oh, sorry, dude. I can't give you a. I can't say hi
Didn't
to you
ask for a
because
picture, nothing." I was just like, all right. I was like, never liked you anyway. I'm glad AJ your chin on AJ's class.
You should have said, "Hey, Ellsworth, you fucking jobber, you're nothing. You're stealing money from Vince every time you showed up in the ring. You fucking jobber scrub."
God, I hope this doesn't get back to him, but
I hope you do. You're a
What's he
damn
gonna do?
I
jobber,
hope so.
Ellsworth. You're a
I
jobber.
mean,
You're nothing.
it was cool to see someone that has been in that world and
Why
that
don't you
I've
go
actually
wrestle
watched
for
on TV
EWA
week after
or
week before.
MCW a few more times, you jobber?
All right, let's take us out, Tim.
All right. Oh, I hope everybody has a good week except for the jobber.
Except for you, Ellsworth.
Yeah. When you're a dick, but you have nothing to be a dick about. All right.
Is that how we're taking us out?
Let's see. If that wraps it
And I
up.
was like, is that it?
Yeah, that should be the end of the show. Well, if that wraps it up, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to be back next week where we will be not talking about any jobbers anymore, especially James Ellsworth. That'll be the last time we'll be mentioning the jobber's name on this program. Join us next week. We love you all. Hey, Ellsworth, you're a damn jobber.